A minute. Right, we are live. Power Agent with the Storey himself. I'm really excited by this one, but you have to give me 2 seconds while everyone comes on to shut my dog up because I'm in the office. The dog's in here. She's barking. Can you see the view count in the top corner or not? Is that just me?
No.
Right, cool. Give me 2 seconds then. 1 sec. People come on.
So for those of you that are watching, this is a reason not to get a dog. I think Perry's got about 17 dogs now. I'm sure we can confirm.
"17 people on, that's good. Wifey
17.
is coming." It's a really good time actually to talk about wifeys because we will talk about Ian Storey is smashing it and hello, where's Perry? But we've got to give Alex a massive shout out because although everyone's seeing old Storey at the front doing all these amazing listings and amazing videos, just like with Tash, will be nothing about them, would we, Ian?
Well, no, of course not. No. I mean, she holds it all together. We've always said that I'm the mouth and she's the brains.
I'll probably say, yeah, you're the mouth.
I'm the mouth,
right.
She's the brains, categorically.
So, cheers for coming on. Power Agent Group's all about growing and improving and being a high-performing estate agent. I don't think there's many out there that have achieved what you've achieved in such a small amount of time, myself included. Because when we opened Power Bespoke, there was a lot of trial and error for the first 3-4 years. And you just seem to have come out the blocks like a steam train, listing all kinds of awesome houses and doing amazing videos. So give us a little background, because when I first met you, you weren't doing what you're doing now.
No.
So hit us up with a little background on the story.
So I've gone through, well, I've been in the industry now for 17 years. I think 17 years, 16 years, something like that. Employed for about 3 years, then started my own company when I was 25. But I've been through 2 or 3 incarnations of my own company to get to where I am now. So I started with a high street office. I had the wrong business partner twice. Then I started my other company, which is the one that I've recently sold. And that's up near Blackpool, where I was from. And I was in the mindset, like I think a lot of people were sort of 7 years ago, that 6-7 years ago, that's the way the market was going, the industry was going. It would all be low fee, fixed fee, low fee, stack them high. And then I ran that, developed a good lettings book, which was key. And then met you, I think 2.5 years ago. And bit of a light bulb moment, really, in that I realised that I could be charging a much higher fee for doing what I did, because I knew I was good at what I did, but I didn't really know how to package that up and how to get the better fee. And then we had the opportunity to move area. So we moved from just outside Blackpool. We ran and operated quite a nice suburb. It wasn't in the middle of Blackpool underneath the tower. It was quite a nice suburb. And then we moved to Cheshire, which is where my wife, Alex, is from. And it quickly became apparent to me that I should be doing what I was good at here instead of there. So took the decision to sell that company up near Blackpool. So we sold that lock, stock and barrel. It did have a good lettings book, which is why we got what we got for it. Sold that, started here. So it was a risk. We were completely unknown here. We're not 2 years old yet as a company here.
Wow.
Completely unknown. We had a little bit of a leg up because my in-laws gave us their house to sell, which was just over 600,000, which we did for free, of course, to them. So it gave us a bit of a leg up into that sort of level of the market. You gave me massive amounts of belief and sort of knowledge as to how I could do things. You and Royston on the courses that we've done. And here we are.
So I think that's mad, isn't it? Because when we first jumped on a video call, and it was probably not long after I'd launched a power agent. You were
No.
in your office with that different business that you used to have, and then probably 2 weeks later, you messaged me saying, "I'm effing going to sell it." I'm like, all right, I thought we might change it a little bit, but if you want to go lock stock, and what's amazing by that is it was a whole decision of a life change as well, wasn't it? It weren't just, it was a business, but it wasn't the kind of business now that you wanted to run or grow moving forward. It's a great business for the right kind of person that believed in that kind of model. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you said how the agent, how the industry, or someone said the profession was going, low fee, higher volume. Do you think it's in the main? Do you think it's still going that way?
No, I think it's splitting. So I think you'll have high service, better fee, high service, and I think you'll have the lower end people who don't get it and never will and hate estate agents and will happily sell the house for free.
And I guess it's time for agents to decide, isn't it? Like sooner rather than later, which camp they're in.
Yeah, it is. I think there'll probably be some sort of middle ground, won't there? You won't get rid of it completely, but ultimately they struggle to survive, don't they? Because they can't charge decent fees. They're competing with the lower end. I think they're the ones who'll struggle in the middle. And it's
another thing you said there, and I want to go into, because going back to what I said a minute ago about the level of business you're doing, the properties you're attracting is like light years ahead of me when I was growing Power Bespoke, but also a lot of other agents out there. But you touched on something around this word behind me, belief and confidence. And what I didn't really realize when I started to put the Power Agent together was it was never a kind of, grow your confidence and belief in yourself, join the Power Agent. It was always become a higher achieving agent, increase your fees. But what was a kind of side benefit, and it's not just you, it's a lot of other agents that have joined it as well, have kind of said is if nothing else, so it's full of great things to help you grow and get higher fees, get more living rooms, convert more instructions, all that kind of stuff. But it's just the confidence. And I love that as a little byproduct and a side product, because what I've learned as I've got a bit older is the number one gift that you can give people is confidence, both in a client selling their house, confidence that you're the best man for the job and you're going to be doing it for them like this, with this plan, blah, blah, blah. So touch on that a little bit, as in like, you kind of knew you were a good agent. You said that, which is really good. Self-awareness is also really important to be a high-performing agent. But touch on that around exactly how, I don't want this to be a kind of sales pitch for the Power Agent, because we're not going into that. But I don't know how I've done it, but a lot of agents have said, you've given me loads of confidence and it's great. And it'd be good to hear how I've done that.
Yeah, well, I don't want it to become a sales pitch for the Power Agent either. But I think one of the key things for me was coming on the initial boot. Well, I think I've done 4 or 5 boot camps, or something like that, every one so far. And I think it was the initial one that first was a real light bulb moment in, that you can, if you're good enough. It's all about being good enough, isn't it? Because you can't charge 2% if you're shit and your marketing shit and you're not good at negotiating. That's ripping someone off. You've got to be good at what you do, very good at what you do, and know that they're paying the fee because you're getting them more than anyone else could. So you've got to do it ethically. But it's definitely the initial boot camp, I think, that really triggered it for me in my mind. It's a combination of you, and also I've got to shout out to Chris Kiriakou.
Too right.
Chris really, I remember Chris saying on the phone to me probably 2 years ago now, maybe more, 2.5 years ago, that by quoting 2% instead of 1.25, you're giving people a reason to question why you're that much better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? My reaction at the time was, well, I'll nudge our fees up to 1.25 just by a little bit. And Chris said, no, don't do that, because you're still too close to all the other agents who are quoting 1. So put them up to what a good level and give people a reason to ask why you're so much more. I think it's a combination of him saying that which really made me think, and the first boot camp.
And it's like
I'm just just carry on that. I was just going to say that once you get going with it, it's like a steam train, really. You can't stop it. As soon as you get 1, when you get your first 2% listing, it's like a steam train. You can't really stop yourself then, because you know you can do it. You've done one, you think
higher and higher each time.
Yeah. So every time you go out, you just become that fee. You become that agent.
Yeah, because then you think you think and you operate like a 2% agent rather than hoping to be a 2% agent, trying to think that you are one, but then having to take 1% because you didn't have the balls to deliver the 2%. And actually, what I was going over some bits before, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that being not comfortable delivering that your fees are 2%, a big part of it is fear.
Yes.
And it ain't so much fear about the risk of losing it, because we all know that you can lose it and you got half a chance, 50% of getting it back. So you never actually lost it until it exchanges contracts. A lot of agents think they've lost it because they've chosen another estate agent. But the fear, in my view, comes from a lack of appraisals next week and the week after.
Yeah.
Because if your marketing, your prospecting is nailed and you've got 8 appraisals next week, you know, even at 2%, you're going to get half of them, because half of them will come for recommendation, past clients. And I think it all really ties in with everything. It's a mindset and a belief and a confidence, not an arrogance, but very much a confidence thing. But also making sure because if you're going to an appraisal tomorrow and you know that's the only one you got this week, you're like, shit, I can't lose that. I won't kind of rock the boat and try and go in at 2% that I've been wanting to do for months. I'll just go in at my 1 and win it.
Yeah,
so I think it's a really, really interesting point.
I think the other thing that gave me belief in it was the likes of Sean Newman, who I think Sean charges 2.5% and has been doing it for 20 years or something. Yeah, and you think he's gone through so many cycles, hasn't he? Of so many economic cycles where you've had no purple bricks 20 years ago, purple bricks now, as an example. And he consistently charges at a certain level because he's good enough to do it. So I think people like him as well, you look back and you think it's not just it's not just a one-off. You can maintain it over a career.
Yeah.
But you definitely do become, you feel like you have to work harder for the client to do you know what I mean? You have to.
Yeah, no, I get it totally. I'm the same. When your phone rings at like 7 o'clock at night and you're like, 0.75%, you kind of feel obligated to do more for that client and give a better service because they're paying you so well and you don't want to let them down.
No.
What do you find? I find it really interesting that you seem to be attracting only big high-end listings, right? And let's touch on that, because I think you are with estate agency, it's like food, isn't it? You are what you eat. Now, I eat a lot of McDonald's, but I try and balance it out. But with estate agency, you attract what you've got almost. If you've got loads of low-end stuff or loads of high-end stuff, how do you manage to? Because you've got some lovely, lovely top ends, but also some middle to low ends as well.
Yes. Well, when we started it, we purposefully started it. We wanted to create a brand that was known for quality. And I also wanted to get into the higher end market. Now, it's not just about having loads of £1 million houses. I want to spread across the market because I think it covers you for economic cycles if you can sell different levels of house. But we wanted to make sure that we became known for being able to sell the more expensive ones. So initially, we turned away some cheaper ones that we didn't, because we wanted to become known for only selling those higher end ones initially. Because otherwise, I think people with a more expensive home just automatically go to Jackson Stopps or Savills, who, well, let's not talk about it, but they only go to the high end agents, don't they, initially? Yeah. And we wanted to become known for selling those higher end ones, which we've done well. There was also a bit of a window in our market of an opportunity where the majority of our competition, in fact, really all of them, didn't really do particularly good photos. No one did video, and the service wasn't very good. You'd be amazed to hear that, mate.
What an estate agent.
Yeah. So we took an opportunity to become known for the higher end first of all. And then as soon as we became known for the higher end, we've now started taking on other levels, lower levels of property, but still quality ones. And then one of the main things that's helped us is Facebook. We've been able to dominate the local area really because of Facebook, when no other agent was on it at all.
But again, you've got to take credit for that, because that weren't fluke. You've had a proper focused social media strategy, you and Alex behind the scenes, around doing this organically rather than with loads of paid advertising.
We've hardly done any paid advertising.
Nah. So I think that's a conscious decision that you've made, which is what's elevated, because I didn't really start doing Facebook properly for a couple of years in, whereas you've started, and your plan from the word go, I think, has been epic. What would you say?
Just before you move on, mate, just touching on Facebook.
Yeah,
I would encourage anyone to use their personal Facebook feed page.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as everyone I'm sure knows, the reach is much higher on personal Facebook than it is on business. So I got this from you, really, but I've just befriended the shit out of everyone locally.
Yeah.
Anyone I possibly know that might know anyone locally, I've befriended them. And most people accept, don't they? Because it's polite. And then when you put something out, when you do a live or you put videos out of any sort of content, it gets seen by so many more people than if you try and do it on your business page. And it's free.
So the great thing it's good to have a page, but to run maybe some ads that you're going to run. But definitely all your when I first got with Tash, I was like, why are you adding all these people on Facebook? She's going to kill me. But that's what I do. You know, on Facebook sometimes it says like suggested friends. I'll just go bang straight through them once a week. Them all.
That's right.
And it is a really good. They won't accept if they don't want to. If they want to, they will, and then they'll get to see. As long as your Facebook isn't pumped with all work stuff, there's a bit of family stuff in there as well. A nice bit of balance.
Yeah, that's right. And people love that. You know, I mean, I don't put loads of photos of the kids and stuff on, but the odd one and stuff is nice, isn't it? People like it.
And I've had messages randomly. Hi, mate, looking to move house. Can you help me? I've been friends with him for like 3 years, but I've never actually spoken to him, met him or nothing. He's just been seeing what I'm doing through my personal Facebook profile.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I want to touch a little bit. You know, I'm massive on like brutal structure and plan and stuff. So I think it's quite remarkable when you were telling me off live the kind of level of business that you're doing now with you, Alex, of course, very important, doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
You got your agent assistant, I think, in the office now, and then you've just taken on some viewing specialists.
Yeah.
How have you been brutal with your structure, or has it been really flexible?
Yeah, I'm pretty brutal with it. The one thing that slips, like most of us, is prospecting on a Friday, because I've been so busy. When you're so busy, it slips, doesn't it? But I think prospecting it's hard to define prospecting specifically, isn't it? Because prospecting is me on Facebook. Like, I comment on other agents' posts on Facebook about how nice houses are, and I comment in local groups, or if people are asking for advice. And that's all prospecting, isn't it? Speaking to the lady in the petrol station, prospecting. Yeah. So I maybe don't do it rigidly on a Friday, but just because I'm so busy, I'm always prospecting wherever I am.
Yeah.
My Mondays, I do my client contact. So rigidly stuff that's available every week. So stuff that hasn't sold. And then the stuff that is under offer, I do more sporadically, and more so if there's any problems with it, then I step in. But because of the WhatsApp groups that we've got with all the clients, they feel like they're talking to me every day anyway.
Yeah, exactly that. So straight out. I know a lot of people have all got a copy of the Power Planner, and it's nice that other people are finding that structure work, because I know, depending what you read and how you work personally, I know some people like to do, you know, little and often, a bit of prospecting every day or a bit of client contact first thing in the morning. But I'm really like a whole focus of the day and making sure that 80% of the day is focused on that task.
I think if I did it little and often, it wouldn't get done as much.
With any real focus. That's the thing.
Any real focus, especially when it's so busy. I mean, I've just put in. So I do Sam's between 11 and 6, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So nothing till 11. So I can catch anything from the night before and plan the Sam's for that day. So that's some structure that I've put in. It was just getting a bit busy. We've all been so bloody busy, haven't we, the last couple of months. So I was getting too many Sam's, really, valuations, whatever you want to call them. So I was at the stage where I had about 6 or 7 a day. I could do them 7 days a week if I allowed myself to. So I brought that in. So Monday's client contact day, the odd appointment if I have to. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, nothing till 11. And then I will do till 8, 9 o'clock at night if I have to on those 3 days. Yeah. And then Friday prospecting. And then I've brought in, since we employed Aidan, who's our client, I can't think, I want to call him client executive. I got that idea from Sam Ashton. I want to think of a nice name for him because he's brilliant. Since he started working for us, And then since the viewing specialist started working for us, I've now stopped doing weekends pretty much.
Yeah. And that really, what you find is when you start getting a bit of balance is that you then want to go and do that launch day for that nice big house you're launching. I know I put one live recently at just over 1 million, and I'd done the initial launch for the viewing day on a Saturday. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I just made very clear that subsequent weekends, if I haven't sold it, it turned out that I did actually end up selling it to someone from the launch day. But a few weeks later, my viewing specialist would be doing the viewing.
Yeah.
And they're all awesome, you know. I think as long as you really believe in your team, it's a lot easier to start letting go as you start scaling and growing. And one thing that I'm really proud of is as we've grown, the team members are just awesome. They're so committed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too. But it's also about client expectation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And telling the client from the start what's going to happen and who's going to be doing what.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So that ties in a bit.
Also, go on.
Go on. No, go on, carry on.
I was just going to say, we've also recently reduced our opening hours slightly because I just felt we were open a bit too long, really. I think if you're really good at what you do, and we've just changed to MoneyPenny, actually. We've got MoneyPenny doing all our hours calls. So people's calls always get answered. And I know that if I get an email that really needs replying to and it's someone wanting evaluation out of hours, I'll always respond anyway. But I've just reduced the opening hours slightly during the week and on a Saturday, and we'll definitely close Sundays. Because you need that time, don't you? You want to go hard and then a bit of time off.
I always liken high performance estate agency like a high performance athlete, and I'm far from an athlete, but the way their structure and their mentality works is very much you can't be in training camp for more than you can be. You've got to relax and recuperate. And if you are going really hard during the week, and I would always offer like an 8 p.m. appraisal to keep my Saturday clear. People don't want Saturdays necessarily because they've also got stuff to do with their weekends, but they don't expect you to be able to offer 7, 8 o'clock at night. But when you offer it, it keeps your weekend clear. And you've got 2 days of recuperation, which I think is really important. Yeah,
the other reason I like that time is because I say to people when your kids are in bed, I'll come when your kids are in bed because then you've got their attention. There's nothing worse, is there, than having 2 kids running around, TV on. You can't. It's
just really good time management. They're both going to be home probably rather than going during the day at 4 o'clock and one of them isn't home. So I think it's getting really. Would you say that you set up your kind of non-negotiables and boundaries before you started going big star? Or were you a lot more flexible very early on?
Oh, much more flexible. Much more flexible in what I would list. Much more flexible in when I do it. And I've really, really learned that if you just set a boundary of your time and what sort of properties you're prepared to list and the fees you're prepared to take, it's amazing, isn't it? How it eventually works. It pays off eventually. It's quite scary at the start.
Well, I was going to say that. So that's the problem with belief and confidence is that if you've got it, were there times when you thought, oh, shit, am I doing the right thing here by turning this away? Yeah.
Yeah, of course there was. Yeah. You do, don't you? I've also got a lot better at turning away listings where they want to try it for more. You know, the vendor wants to try it for more.
Yeah.
Or they won't listen to me on the staging of the rooms and painting this and that. And I've actively not taken stuff on because they wouldn't remove, they wouldn't paint the bright purple wall in the lounge or whatever it is.
And that's like really interesting because that is the proper reason why I renamed the value. I hate the word valuation to an advice meeting, because if you go into it, and I'm sure you've found this, with that complete mindset of I'm there to give them advice on how to get the best price, whether they choose me or not, I'll give myself as an option at the end potentially if I feel like we're on the same page.
Yeah.
But when you're giving advice around it, please don't 99,950 it. Please do this as a strategy. Will get you the best outcome.
Yeah.
I think that's where you then become more magnetic anyway, because
massively. So I've become sort of, I don't know what the word is really. Harsh is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. I've become more honest about what they need to do at the initial appraisal. So before they've signed up, more honest, because I know that most, or maybe even all of my competitors won't, because most agents don't do that, do they? They're scared of losing the listing. So I've become more brutal, for want of a better word.
I think as when you're working with intent and real reason, then I think it makes it a hell of a lot easier to be polite and say, look, I totally appreciate that you would like to do that. I think you're best not doing that, and it's important that you choose an agent where you take their advice. I don't believe in that approach, and so let me step aside. My phone's always on. And give me a call if it doesn't go to plan. And as long as your keep in touch strategy or whatever you're doing is in place. I've had loads of secondhand business come back, and I'd rather sidestep it and get it back at the fee and the price that I wanted in the first place. But I lose it knowing I've got only half a chance of getting it back. Yeah. Even if I keep in touch well, because half are going to sell.
The other thing is that it. Sorry to interrupt. The other thing is that I think it's better for your reputation. I think another reason we've grown quite quickly is because of how good our reputation is, how willing people are to refer you. They want to refer. They openly want to refer you. So if you're doing something like being straight to the point about what they've got to do to the house before they can sell it, that sticks in their head, and they'll say to their friends, "That Ian Storey guy, God, he was saying move this, shift that, move this, move that." So I think it's good for your reputation as well and speed of growth.
I've got one coming on soon at 1.4, which I said to her, the only way I can help is with keeping it off market for a month, because you've been on the market for like 9 months, and just me flicking it live tomorrow is not going to do you any favors. What we need to do is kick off our low key strategy for the first 4 weeks, and we'll launch it beginning of November if I haven't sold it before. There's a very high chance that because it's low key and off market, we are going to sell it, and we've got a better opportunity to get a better price. And she was like, oh, no. She had me around and a few other agents. She's like, no one else has said that. They were all asking how quickly I can get it live on Rightmove. Yeah. So it's a real, just to shock them out of it. A bit like the fee that you're talking about. You're almost like, if you're going to be more expensive, be really more expensive and create a whole discussion around it.
Yeah, and you've always said to me that if they really want you, they'll ask to negotiate anyway.
Yeah.
So if you start at 1.3 and they want you, they'll ask you to negotiate down to 1, won't they? If you start at 2 and you're negotiating, then you would negotiate a bit and go to 1.75.
And I really believe in that. You know, I have agents say, oh, I lost it on fee. Like, you definitely didn't. They were never going to structure at 1%. Otherwise, they would have called you and said, Perry, you were great. I'd love to sell with you, but you're double the fee of everyone else. And then that will just give you a good, reason to explain it more, or do a bit of a deal, performance fee, price promise guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. All that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I said to Chris Kiriaki a while ago now. He said, I said to him that if you lose it on fee, when I lose it and they say the reason is fee, I always say, well, I've not done something right in my presentation, or there's something lacking in what I've told you, because we are worth 2%. So there's something I've not done that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. And then, so with that, this having been your whole evening, and I think if anyone's got any questions quick, I am seeing the comments, and I will go through a couple of them in a minute, because there are, I think, maybe some questions. But, so we've got structure, which I'm massive about, brutal. Then what about the kind of plan? I want to talk about that, because we're very, you and I are on the same page here, in that if you go into a living room just to give a valuation, you're going to be like everyone else. And you've kind of, what I love about what you've done is you've taken everything that we've been doing and in the Power Agent, but you've also thrown a little bit of Storey sprinkle over it and changed it where it is right for your market and more for you, God, which is the whole point. But how's is it an 11 step or a 10 step or a 13 step?
11.
So how's that worked from in the living room perspective?
Oh, amazingly well. And it's interesting when we wrote it all down, it's just what we've always done. But to write it down and give it structure and package it up, is people don't expect it at all. It's fantastic. And I'm about to change it, because when you I'm sat in the living room a bit now, and I'm thinking, as I'm going through it, I'm thinking, there probably could be 13 or 15, or I might swap that around and do this. Yeah. So I'm going to evolve it. I'm about to evolve it.
I had to be honest, I am due to have a little review of ours. It's been like 5 years we've been using it, and things have changed a little bit. But it's like one of the biggest things that I use a lot is the anti-stagnation strategy.
Yeah.
And I use that when when I'm being told that I've not won the listing or won the client, I'm like, look, I totally respect your decision. I don't agree with it. That's what I always use. Totally respect your decision. I don't agree with it. My phone's always on. Just before you go, though, have you seen a copy of their anti-stagnation strategy? And then they're like, and then they carry on the conversation. Oh, what's an anti-stagnation strategy? It's like, well, after 4 weeks, it's going to start getting a bit stagnant, and you need to make sure your agent's got a plan in place to keep it fresh on the market, blah, blah, blah. If you send me a copy of theirs, I'll just flip my eyes over it and make sure that it's good. And they're like, oh, they didn't discuss that. So then there's really good strategies you can use to win them back as well when they're telling you that they're not going to go with you because they've chosen someone else.
Yeah.
And I think the ultimate thing is with the plan is what you mentioned there. It's so stupidly simple and basic, but it's just we're terrible at communicating what we do as a profession. I know a lot of people have said we've become more of an industry as a profession, but we don't communicate well that after the 3 days or a week you're going to check out the back end statistics on Rightmove, or you're going to hold it off Rightmove for a week, or whatever you're going to do. I think communication is really good.
We send a pre-list pack out to everything that gets booked. We hand deliver it if we can on the same day. If it's feasible. Otherwise, we send it out in the post with a copy of the 11-step plan, a copy of my negotiation certificate, recent sales where we've smashed the asking price, and a list of past 10 clients and their mobile numbers.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So to wrap up, right, so the theme of this was going from the mindset and the belief and the structure, because I put in the post that it's massive on the mindset side. It's kind of mindset, skill set, tool set, or the other way around. But you got all the tools, you got all the skills, but the first thing that's got to switch is the mindset. So if you were to say 3 things that really nailed you going from around £1,000, 1,200 quid average fee to average fee of 10 grand, what do you think those 3 things would be to share with everyone else that are thinking, I need to get my fees up, but I'm just struggling?
So I would look at the quality of your marketing, first of all. I think what marketing was one of the things that enabled us, was definitely one of the things that enabled us to start charging higher fees. So we outsourced all of our photography immediately. So many agents.
Sorry to interrupt, but you mean marketing of the listing or marketing of yourself as a company?
No, marketing of the property. Yeah. One of the reasons we've grown so much is because of the quality of the marketing of the houses. So we outsourced the photography straight away, and we outsourced the videos.
Yeah.
And I justify that by 2% fee. So if you're in the right sort of market, you can get a good 2% fee where your average fee is sort of 8,000 to 10,000. I justify buying the photographs and video myself, because I know if I'm listing it at the right price, I'll sell it and get the money back anyway. Mm-hmm. I will look to do vendor paid advertising, but initially, while we're growing the company, I'm paying for it all.
Exactly the same. We've only just brought in kind of premium vendor paid marketing, so it's really good strategy to get off the ground. I
think excellent quality photography and videography with you presenting the video is key. Yeah. So many agents are scared of being on camera and do videos, but just like a walkthrough video without them on it. Yeah. So having you on the video is whether you're good looking like me, Perry, or pig looking like you, makes no difference. No. So get yourself in the video, because that people pick up on that and then they feel like they know you before you walk in the living room because they've seen you on the video. Yeah. So marketing the first thing. Difficult, mate, with the belief. I would look at peers. I would look at other people. Like I mentioned, you, Chris Kiriakou, Sean Newman, just to name 3 people. I would look at peers, and somewhere else I've got a lot from is Australian realtors. So Tom Panos, John McGrath, Joy Malcolm, all those boys over there who do it much better than most agents in this country do. So I would look at peers and people who are doing it and who've been doing it for a long time. Certainly. I got a lot from them, and I still do now on podcasts. Yeah. And then I would... So be a sponge to all things higher quality estate agency, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, massively. Because it's free, isn't it? It's in front of you and it's free. Yeah. And then thirdly, I think you've got to take a bit of a leap of faith. Yeah. If you know you're good enough. Yeah. If you know you're good enough, and you've got to be good enough. If you're not good enough, change your job. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You've got to be good enough And if you're good enough, you've got to take a bit of a leap of faith. I think probably a fourth one, actually thinking about it, is structuring your marketing. So having something to present to the client to say, this is how we do things. But ultimately, it is a bit of a leap of faith.
So on your fourth one, that's pretty mad, because that is so simple and it's something that you do, that we done at Power Bespoke, and it's all in the Power Agent. But it's because no one else is doing it. It's not really rocket science. It's just being a bit different.
It is.
I want to start a little challenge. Like, so the leap of faith is what you said there is change job or get better. You know, if you don't feel or think you're capable of being a 2% agent, then go back to, you know, stay in agency maybe, but go back to the drawing board and get some real training, coaching, however you want to put it, because a small investment there is going to pay off dividends if you start getting another 5-10 listings a year at double the fee potentially. But I want to start a little, I thought about this and it's just come to me now, but I want to start a little next 10 challenge. I really want everyone, I know it's probably going to be the worst time for people to do it, but it's probably the best time at the same time when the market's so crazy, to break through that ceiling, and like the next 10 appraisals you go on, just deliver 2%. So your fees are 2% and then shut up. Yeah. And then you're really surprised that they're like, oh, I thought you'd be a bit more expensive because you've been so much better than everyone else that I've spoken to, rather than, and a really good strategy I've got for this. And keep comments coming into the group if you are going to do this, and I'm going to do it. My next 10, because sometimes when I'm in £1 million or £1.5 million house, it's a bit easy to kind of do 1.5% with a performance fee. Yeah. But I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to be brutal at 2%. Yeah. And a really good way, let's say at 1%, is to, if their face drops or they're like, oh my God, no, that's double everyone else. You're like, oh no, but it includes VAT, because then all of a sudden, you're really getting used to delivering the 2%, and you're still netting out at 1.66%. But what you'll find is that if their face don't drop, when you've got over that fear of, our fees are 2%, totally quiet, totally shutting your mouth, and they're like, that's fair enough, because that's why my friend Jenny recommended you. But if they do say to you, oh, that's crazy. Oh, no, it includes VAT. And then you're kind of backtracking a little bit. And what you're finding is after 10 of them, you're going to be, and it includes VAT, and it's plus VAT. Take that one. And I really think it's so important. I'm so passionate about this, that the more you charge your clients, and there's some agents out there that are happy with 999, and I really wish them well, but the more you charge, the more you can pay your team, the more you can invest in the marketing, the more you can reward yourself. And it just becomes, that means you get more time with your family, and you can start enjoying it more, and your career gets better, and it's a real self-fulfilling prophecy once you can.
There's no doubt that by charging 2%, we have grown more quickly than we would have done if we were charging low fees.
Epic.
Definitely. Because by charging 2%, you've got more time. You've got more, you need less properties, so you've got more time to deliver a really good service, which means you get recommended. Quite a good little end to the conversation that made. But definitely by charging 2%, we've grown more quickly.
And there's the kicker, right? I talk about it all the time. If you're good, you're going to get recommended. Better to get recommended at 2% than at 0.5% or 0.75% or 1%.
No question.
And
that's happening to us now. So we did one. We did a 2% at 475. They recommended us to a 620. They recommended us to a 680. They recommended us to a 900 that we've just sold for 1.1 at 2%.
And it's mad, right? But this also comes back, without going on the waffle because we're 38 minutes in, but this comes back to your prep, for your real clear hour prep for every single appraisal. So as long as you're tracking that at the front end of your business, whether it's, your booking team or you're booking it in yourself, as long as you're asking the question, who was it that recommended us to you, right?
Yeah.
Where did you hear about us? They'll say, oh, Jenny. And you're going to check to see how much you charge Jenny. And the chances are that it will be a decent fee if you're charging decent fees. And when they say, how much is your fee? You're going to say, oh, the same as what we charge Jenny, 2%.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a real, without that prep and running around like a madman, running to your appraisals and not prepping, and you don't even know what you charge Jenny, you recommended you in, and it becomes, there's so many ways to not make the fee an issue, and how to overcome it.
Oh, definitely over communicating. So before we get anywhere near the listing, if I booked it in, I'll send them a WhatsApp straight away to say, thanks, here's my details. I always call them straight away when it's booked, then call them the night before, then call them on the morning. I over communicate, definitely. I mean, because they don't expect it. Because Joe Blogs down the road, he's charging 1%. He's not doing that. He's definitely doing that. And he's not sending a pre-list pack, and he's probably getting there late.
Mate, I love it. It's been an epic 40 minutes, one of our longest ones. But I really appreciate taking the time to share some of this, because I think it's a really pivotal time in the profession industry that now's the time. If you're going to go deep on your fees, now a great time to do it while the market's mental, because if it toughens up, you're going to be so scared to quote 2% for fear of losing. Now's the time to really put them fees up and start charging really what you believe you should be paid.
No question.
So Ian's like one of the most helpful guys ever. So no doubt if you wanted to ask him some questions, fire him a message, leave comments below. There wasn't that many questions other than I'm going to do some graphics and start this little next 10 challenge and see how everyone gets on with it. You're included, Ian, as well as me, so no pressure. And have a really good afternoon, evening, what's left of it, and I'll see you all soon.
See you, mate.
You're a legend. Cheers, Ian. Take care, mate.
Bye.
Bye-bye.